Okay, this is a XR-7 emblem off the C-pillar on a 1971 to 1973 Mercury Cougar. As you can see, the red's all washed out. It looks pretty ratty. So I'm going to show you how I restored mine, which is a good alternative if you can't find a decent used one or an NOS one, which are getting rather expensive. This will also work on your XR-7 grill emblem, which is made from the exact same medallion. So keep that in mind. If you can ever find a cheap C-pillar emblem, you can take this medallion out and it'll fit right in the front one, which tends to be a lot more expensive. So what we have here is you flip this out over on the back and you see you've got your little backing plate here. Remove these 4 rivets in the corners. You can either grind them off, drill it off, or I prefer to spend a little more time and kind of squash them and pry the backing plate off. If you do it that way, you'll have the materials left on the rivets so that when you put the backing plate back on, you can kind of hammer these back down and hold it in place rather than having to glue everything back together. So that's what I do. Once you get those off, this backing plate comes right off. Inside you have a little cardboard piece. I throw this away because personally I think it just holds water in the back, which is what causes your paint to go all faded. So when I put this back together, I don't even put this in here. Once you got that, you've got the little plastic emblem, which just falls out. This one, as you see, I've already been working on, so it's clear. There's no paint on the outside. I did not remove the silver. I didn't want to go through the effort, and the silver wasn't too bad on this piece. If you want to remove the silver and try that too, you can. I don't know how well that'll work out. Then you can probably just use mild paint remover and take it all off. If you leave the silver in like I did, what you'll have to do is scrape all the rest of the paint off. Your black on the 7 and the red on the outsides. I just used a razor blade knife, scraped all the way around, which is quite labor intensive. It is a bit of a pain, but I tried using like a buffing wheel and it just melted the plastic, which didn't work. Now if you have a buffing wheel that works better, that isn't quite so harsh, you could probably do it much easier with a buffing wheel. So once you get all the paint off, and take it off on the black and the 7, be a little more careful there because I don't think you want to scratch that up too much on the 7. So once all the paint's off, the first step you want to do is repaint the black on the 7. So mask off all the outer area. Just tear little tiny pieces of masking tape as you need and fit around all the little odds and end area. You don't have to cover over the silver area because the paint will end up behind it and you won't even notice it. So mask off the whole outer area, then paint the 7 with black paint. Give it several coats. Make sure you've got it clean, get everything cleaned up with some alcohol first so the paint sticks. Once you've got your 7 done, you can peel all the masking tape off and paint the red on the outside. What you want to use is, or what I used that worked pretty well, is this transparent candy apple red. I mean, this is just modeler paint. I don't know what other ones it comes in or how well this will hold up out in the weather, but we don't generally use our cars out in the rain anyway. So color wise, that worked out pretty well. You can find something else, and if it works, that'd be great. So once you get that, put several coats of the candy apple red on it. Make it darker than you think you want because you're going to paint silver behind it, which lightens everything up. My first one I did, I didn't put enough on it and it ended up washed out and still looked like it was old and worn out. So I'll spray the candy apple red. Make sure you mask off the front side so that you don't get any paint on the front side here. The better medallion you start with, you're going to end up better. If you get a lot of cracks in this plastic, when your finished product is done, you'll have the cracks. You'll see the color will bleed through on them, and it'll still look far better than what you started with, but you'll definitely see the cracks. So if you can find the plastic in the best shape, do that. So once you get the red, several coats of the candy apple, then you paint the back of the whole thing silver. This will help bring out the color of the red, give it that kind of shiny look that we see on the newer ones. And at that point you can just paint a couple of coats of silver and check what it looks like until you're happy with it. Again, if you didn't put enough red on it, it'll be washed out. There's not much you can do with it at that point. So once you've got it finished, you'll end up with something that looks like this. Now this was my first one, and I'm not sure if you can see it in this camera. The plastic was pretty ratty, so there's a lot of cracks in it, and you can see them through there. The paint kind of bled through. This one also is kind of washed out in the red area. You can really see the silver because I didn't put enough red in there. So this is why you want to get the red in there. Also, once you get it done and you're happy with it, what you want to do is reattach the backing plate. This is one where I squashed the rivets and then reapplied them and just hammered them down, and that worked pretty well. There's some hammer marks on here, but you don't notice that. It's just on the backing plate, so that worked out well. This is another one I did. This one I drilled out the rivets, so I glued it back on with epoxy. This also worked out well. Now, as I showed you on this one, it's kind of washed out. Certainly better than what it started with, but I wasn't happy with it. This was the second one I did. The red's much darker. This is pretty close to looking like a new one. Again, the plastic I used wasn't that great, so there's some cracking in this one. The silver shows through a little bit more than I'd probably like on a regular one, but really it's not noticeable. I could have probably put one more coat of red on this one, but as you see, the black turned out well, and the overall it looks pretty good. Here's the old washed out one, so you can see the difference. It's pretty nice. And then next to it here, this is an original one. This is not an NOS. This is a very good used one. So if you compare what this looks like and then compare it to the one I restored, it actually looks pretty nice. I was very happy with it, and I think you would be too, and it only costs you time and the couple of paint cans that you have to pick up. This also works on some other emblems. This one here is a standard grill emblem. The plastic that I used was really awful on this one, so it didn't turn out perfect. There's a lot of cracks in it, but as you see, it's got a nice red color. The top is black. From the back here you can just see I just painted, in fact I brush painted the black on the top. Bottom I did just like the other emblems with the candy apple red and then the silver behind it, and you end up with that, and you can just fit it into your fitting, and you've got a nice red emblem again instead of that old faded out one. So now it works the same on the front grill emblems. You know, here you've got the front grill, but again it fits right in there. It all comes out the same. Backing plate, cardboard, and then your emblem inside. And again, this is another one where I've already scraped it off. So these emblems can be used for either one. I hope this helps you out. I wish I would have some of these plastic emblems partially done so you could see it in between, but unfortunately at this time I don't have any partially done. So again, here's one washed out that I didn't put enough red paint on. This is the second one, which turned out quite well. A few cracks in the plastic, but overall it's not going to be noticed. And here's a nice, good quality used one. So if you put these side by side, really you can't hardly tell a difference, and I think you'd be very happy with it. So I hope this helps some people out and fix those emblems up, because let's face it, we all know they look terrible when they're all washed out. So good luck with yours, and take care. Bye.